Welcome to the Otaku podcast, everybody. My name is Braxton.
And I'm Taylor Frey. This podcast is for otakus by otakus.
Alright, so the Otaku, before we do what we actually spent 5 days doing, we're actually going to introduce this podcast a little bit. So this podcast here, we are going to talk about, mainly we're going to talk about anime, manga, that sort of stuff. But we're also, on occasions, we'll go off topic. We'll do topics.
We can go all the way to games, talk about Japan itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
So today, based on what the title is for the video and the audio, we are going to start us off by at least introducing ourselves to everybody as to what anime, what mangas we like to watch, enjoy, that sort of stuff. So we've compiled a
list.
Pretty
long list, actually.
There's
pretty long.
There's this page, and then there's one on this last page. Actually, two on the last page.
Got a front, a back,
and then
one on the last page.
And then we also have notes and stuff of the said series, just basic brief notes.
I have 7 pages of notes, so prepared.
We also have 3 of the worst animes I've seen. I've got two. Braxton only has one.
Yes.
Because Braxton doesn't watch a lot of the bad ones. I do, unfortunately, because I'm a slice of life
if
guy.
I think they're going to be bad, I just don't watch it. I don't want to experience it.
The thing about the worst animes is I've seen 4 episodes of the first one, the entire season, the entire series of the second one, and I've not seen a single one of the third one. We'll get to those in a moment. And most of this stuff that we talk about is going to just be us throwing it out there. We probably haven't seen
a lot of them we've at least seen 5 or 6 episodes, I want to say.
Yes.
At least to get a good basis of it.
Or have seen the whole series. I think
we have a big section about isekais.
Yes, the 12 animes are just random out of the blue, different animes, and then we have 6, 7 in a row of isekais that we're all going to be talking about.
Everybody likes those.
Everybody loves the isekais, am I right?
It's a little bit of an overused genre, but it's always entertaining.
That's the thing. That's the thing about anime and mangas, all that. There's just way too many isekai. It's only isekai, so fantasies.
Isekai and ecchi. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, unfortunately. But the thing is I'm actually studying Japanese. I've been studying for about 6 months, and my Japanese is absolutely terrible. But that doesn't mean I'm going to try and attempt to pronounce the Japanese names. Braxton here hasn't even done a lick of Japanese, so he's not going to attempt any Japanese.
I know a phrase, but I can't say it. That's why I'm not allowed in Japan.
Have a restraining order for that.
Exactly.
So,
I don't need it.
So we're going to start off with 3 of the worst animes that we have seen, or at least heard. And the first one was actually the first anime series that I was ever introduced to.
Genres. Make sure to say the genres for everyone.
Exactly. I'm a little colorblind, so it would take me about a minute to get it right. But okay, so
do you want me to say the genres now?
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
Since the 3 genres are usually together, we have action, adventure, fantasy. Just because we have that doesn't mean it has all 3 of those. We just lump them together because usually they are. Mm-hmm. So Attack on Titan, we have action, adventure, fantasy with a subgenre of drama.
Yes, Attack on Titan. I put at the very top of the worst anime list because when I've seen a couple anime movies back then. I watched The Silent Voice, and I've watched a few other movies, mostly by Koito Animations, but. When wanting to actually get into the anime series and stuff like that, my friend Brody's ex-girlfriend, girlfriend at the time, Annalise, was all hey, you should check out Attack on Titan. It's a good series. So I was just
that's what I was told.
So exactly. So I was just all right, I'm gonna go ahead and watch it, and I dropped it after the 5th. It took me, because usually whenever I do anime binges, it's always I watch either half the season in one night or all of the season in one night.
Same here. I always stop at 6 or 12.
Exactly.
Or multiple of 6 usually.
But for me, it took me when I watched Attack on Titan, the first episode, I stopped, waited a few days to watch the second, stopped, waited a few days to watch the third. I think I dropped it after like the fourth or fifth episode just because I just simply didn't like the whole premise behind Attack on Titan.
I only made it to 6 episodes in. I did that all in one night, so it was just back to back. What really got me was how predictable it is. It's incredibly predictable.
It's just,
While it is a very good while it is a very good concept, they could have done a lot better with the plot.
Exactly. I think the whole issue with Attack on Titan to me was just I didn't even like the characters. I hated basically all the characters. I can't even name the characters because it's been so long since I'd seen it.
Eren Yeager is the main character.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember it. There's
I can't remember.
Levi. He's like the only one that I really liked, and
oh yeah, that's because his attitude's hilarious.
Exactly. But the only thing that I've seen from Attack on Titan was Gigook's video on Attack on Titan in like 9 minutes. Everybody knows that video.
Oh yeah, that one's very entertaining.
Like, you don't have to like Attack on Titan to enjoy the heck out of that video, and it's
videos like that. Honestly.
Exactly.
They're a lot of fun.
Exactly. So for Attack on Titan, I just didn't like it. I hated I basically hated everything, but not as much as I hated the second anime on this list. Oh, you don't know it.
I know nothing about this one,
but it's
all Taylor here.
But it's Citrus. Oh my god. Okay, so for a little bit of a background story for me when it comes to anime, the first 2 anime that I've actually like watched series-wise from first episode all the way to the end was Domestic Nakanojo, which is Domestic Girlfriend, and Citrus, the first 2. The first one was good because I'm actually like really interested in that story. And we'll talk about Domestic Nakanojo later.
Quite a lot about that, I'm betting.
Citrus, oh god, hated it. So basically,
too fruity?
No. The whole premise of Citrus, Citrus is like Domestic Girlfriend, but Yuri. So
okay, so Lesbo,
yes. So it's this girl. Okay, the thing that I hate, I can pull it up real quick and show you how much I hate it. Like the character designs, absolutely. Like I hated them.
So was it the art style that really threw you off?
It's not so much the art style. It's just everything about Citrus. Just like, ugh. Like, just, hopefully this shows, okay, that shows it kind of shows the manga pictures, but like you can like see it right there. I'll pull it up on the screen as well, but like if you get the art style's not terrible.
The art style looks pretty good.
Yeah, but like you have to like watch like the first episode to like really understand why I hate the art style. Because I hated the main character. So it's Yuzu Arihara. It ends up, she's like a normal high school girl.
Most main characters are.
Yeah, and she's in a mixed gender high school, but she has to transfer over to an all-girls high school, which has extremely strict rules.
Spicy.
So, the first day, she fails everything on the dress code, like hair, ponytail, legs, the skirt, everything. She fails everything.
Ponytail length?
Yes, they were that strict.
Good God.
Hair length, everything. They were super strict. Okay, so because everybody in that school was wearing either brownish blackish hair, but for Yuzu, she was wearing blonde hair. So she was.
Every main character has to have an odd hair color, compared to the setting.
Exactly.
That's just how it works.
And then May, who is the president of the school, comes in, tells her that it's not allowed and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. It would at first it's not so bad. You think okay, you can get used to this until like 5 minutes in, or when she's actually trying to confiscate everything.
Probably should have muted your phone, buddy.
Shut up, phone. Don't care about Facebook. But as soon as she's getting confiscated and all this sort of stuff, May goes and grabs her behind.
Ooh.
Sneaks a grab of the phone. It's absolutely it caught me way off guard because I was just what is happening?
A handful.
And it doesn't take long until takes maybe 10-12 minutes into the episode, the first episode, where we're introduced to the fact that May and Yuzu are now stepsisters. And
as most Japanese things goes, honestly. It's hey, you like her. By the way, she's your sister. But it's okay. It's step, That's how you make it legal. Step.
It's not blood related.
Yeah.
We all know it's not incest if you shout in chromo.
Not incest if you just mute the video.
But the thing that I just hate about it is just how rapey it is. Because Yuzu forces herself onto Mei several times and vice versa, but Yuzu doesn't know how to react to Mei's like whatever the
advances.
I guess so. It's just I don't like it.
So it does very bad at creating like a friendly atmosphere. It feels like
Yeah.
extremely forced.
Yes.
I take it.
Yes. Unlike Domestic Girlfriend, everything in here is very rape-like.
You're gonna see him referencing Domestic Girlfriend quite a lot.
Well, yeah, only for Citrus, because Citrus is basically Domestic Girlfriend, but for Yuri's, but more rape, basically. And I
probably should stop saying that word.
Yeah, but you know what? PG-13, it's fine.
No. At the end of it's probably gonna be at least mature.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I mean, the intro was "Oppai."
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So if you don't know Japanese, good. Don't learn that word.
All right. So SAO, bit of a controversy behind that. Either you love it or you hate it.
Oh God.
That's kind of just how the community is with it. So as you can see, Taylor over here is already oh God.
There's a reason why it's number 3 on their top 3 worst animes.
So
you hate it.
I have a summary right here. 10,000 players are trapped in a VR MMORPG, virtual reality, with no way to log out.
Yep.
If you die in the game, you die in real life, just like the Matrix. If somebody tries to take the VR stuff off of you, dead.
It kind of reminds me of Ready Player One to some extent, except the players in Ready Player One can take their headsets off. If anybody has seen that movie, you get what I'm saying.
I want to see it, but I
it's
have not.
really good. There's a lot of good references.
I've been seeing a lot of negative reviews for it, though.
No,
unless they're just not real weebs, you know?
Exactly, because there's a lot of references to like Japanese stuff in there, so that's probably why I loved it more. But it's also like for like gamers. So SAO is basically like
Totes gamer, bro.
It's pretty much SAO is just basically Ready Player One, but on steroids in anime.
The only way to get out of the game that they're trapped in is to beat 100 floors of Einkrad, which is the name of the tower. It's basically this huge tower, and that's what the whole game is. Each floor has like its own city and whatnot, different monsters, get stronger as it goes up. So the main character, Kirito, he is trapped in, and he's more of a loner. He was a beta player, so he knows a lot how the game works. He meets his love interest, Asuna, which is also kind of a loner, but they ended up banding together to defeat one of the floor bosses. There's a boss on each floor. Yeah. Well, what really bothers me about SAO is they did not spend enough time on the first arc. In 12 episodes, they got out of the game and then did a whole nother arc in a different one, which really bothered me. And in that 12 episode, which is already fairly short, considering that's like the main point of it, there was like 2 filler episodes about fishing and getting a cabin. All of it seems incredibly rushed.
It does. I can see why a lot of people don't like it. That's why I always like what you say. You either you love it so much that you can't get enough of it, or you hate it so much you want to like stay away from it with a 10-foot pole.
That was my first anime, and you know what? I liked it at first. Until I started watching others, and I'm like, wow, the plot is so much better. They spend more time on the important things. They don't add that many fillers.
The thing about anime is the first few animes that you've seen. I've always been told this. The very few animes that you've seen, like the very first like 3, 4, maybe 5, you will always think they're either really good or really bad, depending on what your stances are.
Attack on Titan was my second.
Attack on Titan was technically my first, but it wasn't my first that I actually completed. I'll talk about my first that I actually completed later. All right. So you're done with SAO, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now we've gone from the bad and finally gone the stay away from those. Stay away from those and into the come to me animes, I guess.
Yes, the good ones, the ones that are fairly good for beginners to anime or veterans. Honestly,
okay.
If you're a veteran, you probably know most of these.
Exactly. As well as just. This is like another way of saying like what we usually watch as anime weeaboos ourselves or otakus.
Ones that stuck out amongst the norms.
Yes. There's a few in here that we obviously left out because there's no way we can... Because it's probably going to take about like 2, maybe 3 episodes, probably.
Oh, quite a bit.
So, I mean, I don't think we want to go longer than, like...
we could probably cut the isekais in their whole episode.
Pretty much.
This recording is probably going to be broke up into 3.
Pretty much. And in any case, what was I going to say? I was going to say something.
All right. Let's continue on.
Yeah, I was gonna say usually for these for these podcast episodes, I would like to only do it like at most, like the very most, 50 minutes.
50?
If it gets to that point, or at least 40.
Let's start off with shorter ones until we're more comfortable being in front of a camera and we know better how to continue on a conversation and never let it get dull.
That's true.
Because this is our first time ever trying to record a podcast.
That's true. So, I don't know. It just depends.
It'll start shorter and then get longer as we're more comfortable and better at it.
It just depends on what we do. We'll probably do like our first page, and then we'll do like the isekais in another episode.
Yes.
And then we'll do like the rest of them in the other episodes.
The Isekode.
The EC code.
EC code.
All right. So let's get. So Braxton's going to start us off with one of his favorites.
Well, I don't know if it's one of my like top favorites, but I really enjoyed it. This was probably the 3rd or 4th I ever watched. It was on Netflix, and Netflix, cheap, easy. And there's a bunch of different ones on there. They're not necessarily the most
you say
thrilling.
You say Netflix.
There's nothing wrong with Netflix.
You say Netflix is like cheap and easy. It costs the same to get a Crunchyroll or a Funimation Premium ship or whatever than it does with the Netflix.
But you see, my mom's not too supportive of the whole anime. She just thinks it's all tits and. Was I not supposed to say that?
Well,
we can blur that out.
I'll probably bleep that out. And plus, you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong.
Well, I mean, honestly, when you're watching it by yourself, cool action fighting scenes, but the second a parent walks in, instant money shot.
Yes.
And then it's just embarrassing. It's like, no, I promise I wasn't watching anything like that.
I promise, Mom, it's not what it looks like.
Exactly. So, Adventures of Sinbad. So the whole Magi series, or Magi, I'm not entirely sure how to say it, follows basically a genie, per se, that helps guide warriors that are chosen to become the next king. While that one is fairly good, I don't find it as interesting or as captivating as Adventures of Sinbad. This takes place before that series. It's like a prerequisite. So in Sinbad, it's a whole, the classic, fantasy world with dragons, all that.
Dragons.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll talk more about dragons later.
So, the series tells the adventures of Sinbad and his brother as they gather a crew, set sail on the ship Nomad in search of wealth and adventure. Along the way, they face witches, wizards, strange tribes, and fantastic creatures. And so towers keep appearing, or dungeons. Once you clear them, you basically earn the favor or soul of a god. So what Sinbad's goal is to collect as many as possible to create his own nation where everybody's equal and free. Classic.
See, the
classic ideals of a hero.
Yeah, the thing is like I've never actually seen this series. I've heard of this series. I've heard of basically all these series that we've listed. It's just I've never seen any of the anime episodes or have read any of the light novels or manga. Just
we're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just we're going to have to like I've only been watching anime at least almost a year now.
I've been watching for a few years, but it's kind of an off and on thing because before I was very embarrassed to watch it because of the whole stereotype around it.
Yeah.
Now I just own up to it. It's like, I watch animes. So what if there's revealing scenes? It's part of the culture at this point.
I didn't really care for anime at the time. I didn't I wouldn't say I disliked it. It's just I didn't care for it just because of the fact that it just wasn't my thing. And then I was introduced to A Silent Voice, and then I watched that and kind of opened it up a little bit, but just not enough that I would wanted to go crazy like I am right now. And
I think part of that is a negative stereotype behind it. Because if you say you watch anime, people judge you as I see.
Weeaboo, get on my life, stuff, that sort of stuff. That's the thing. It's there is some creepy things about anime.
But you don't have to watch it. Nobody's forcing you. There's so many others that are good.
Exactly.
Where the plot isn't just this.
Exactly. So, there's lots of good mangas and good animes to see that aren't all about the
Ecchi.
the ecchi, the chest and the legs and the thighs and all that sort of stuff. It's not that much. There's a lot, yes. There's that basket, but there's also a basket full of good ones that aren't too, bad.
Which reminds me, I think my 4th or 5th anime was High School DxD.
Oh God.
Now, if you want to talk about fan service, woo! But I actually really like the plot behind it. But I don't want to go too in depth because
if you want real good fan service, you'll still get a soda
or Domestic Girlfriend.
Well, that too.
As Syrian.
You'll still. I want to go on and on about Yasuga no Sora because that not only broke me once when I first watched it, but watching it again with Brody. Oh, that even broke me twice. I've already seen it. Now I'm playing the visual.
All right, let's try to get back on track a little bit here. All right, Goblin Slayer. Anybody in anime has heard of this already, at least.
Everybody's known about the controversy about Goblin Slayer and its first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Goblin Slayer is super popular. It's in its top 100 on my anime list in terms of popularity. It was made by White Fox, which White Fox is known for creating some amazing good animes, and there no surprise there. Goblin Slayer.
There was no letdown with Goblin Slayer, that's for sure.
Now, when watching Goblin Slayer, and I expected it, but also didn't expect the first episode. That whole moment with the
goblin and
that woman.
Yeah, the whole novice adventurer crew.
Yes.
The goblins taking advantage of them.
Exactly. And I do have a good little story about Goblin Slayer as well, because I forgot who makes it exactly, but on YouTube there's 3 episodes of a Goblin Slayer abridged series, which the second episode actually has an intro from Rhapsody of Fire. Which
his favorite band.
That's what got me into Rhapsody of Fire was a Goblin Slayer abridged.
Wow, got it from an abridged, huh?
Exactly. That's what's really cool is that my favorite metal band, which is Rhapsody of Fire, I first started listening to them because of the Goblin Slayer abridged. So Goblin Slayer, it's basically just this guy in all metal. Is it metal? Yeah. It's
all metal armor. It's fairly light.
Yes.
It's more of a novice adventure armor, which he is not. But he uses that because it's light, it's durable, and it's cheap to repair.
Exactly. And this guy just goes on and on about goblins and killing them and all that sort of stuff.
Because his family was slaughtered by goblins, and he had to watch his older sister get defiled and killed in front of him.
So he's taking it to the goblins as a way of revenge and stuff like that.
So that's all he'll ever hunt.
Exactly. And I think there's a movie coming out with Goblin Slayer as well. I can't remember.
I hope it's good. I really hope so. I hope it's not a live action. I'm not a huge fan.
No, it's not a live action. It's I think it's being animated by White Fox. So I think I can't remember exactly when it releases. I'll probably pop it up on the screen, of course, if you're watching this on the video. If not, you can probably look it up on my anime list because it's one of the more the more popular movies that are coming out because it's Goblin Slayer. But Goblin Slayer is just that fantasy. Did we put psychological? No. Did we put I can't tell.
Psychological for the subgenre.
Okay, because I couldn't tell if that was pink or not. Oh, now I see pink. Okay, for down there. So we did put psychological for Goblin Slayer because it really
messes with your mind.
It does, and the whole thing about a lot of people will say Goblin Slayer was after the first episode, it was first episode, then the second, third, fourth. It was just it wasn't that good afterwards.
I stayed interested the whole time because I read the manga first, and the manga is so good.
I remember the first time that I went to buy a manga was we were down in me and my buddy Connor were down in Fort Wayne, and we decided to go to a Barnes & Noble. Well, we decided to go to the Glenbrook Mall, which was in Fort Wayne at the time, which had Barnes & Nobles, which also sells manga. So when we walked into Barnes & Nobles, I looked over to the manga section, and there was Goblin Slayer. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get interested in Goblin Slayer, so I'm going to take... I took the first 3 volumes of Goblin Slayer at the time, and bought them. That cost me about $40, so... It was a little expensive, but Goblin Slayer manga is definitely something to read and watch at the same time.
Now it is mature.
It is. So. It's there's a lot of blood.
So that and there's some very inappropriate. ecchi, but in a very dark way.
Dark ecchi, we'll call it. There's two kinds of ecchi.
It's a very grim fantasy It's like not all rainbows and sunshine.
There's two kinds of ecchi. There's the dark ecchi, which Goblin Slayer has, where it's like, it's there, but it's not for fan service reasons, which is number 2, which is fan service ecchi. Fan service ecchi animates what you like.
It's different from like dark ecchi. Yeah, we'll coin that as dark ecchi.
Yeah, dark ecchi is what Goblin Slayer is all about, and it's
not all about. It's not all about dark ecchi.
Not all. Just there's like it's sprinkled in there.
Yeah, but just enough that's like wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's how bad it is. Like not like how bad the show is, like how bad what's happening in the show, like how awful, like emotionally.
All right, so done with Goblin Slayer. Let's go to Braxton.
Akame got killed.
I haven't actually seen Akame got killed yet, but it was in my watch list, and I was about ready to start watching it.
Oh, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna force you. I'm gonna force that. Oh, so Akame got killed. Also one of my first anime. I'm gonna like the first 10. I'm gonna say around my first. So Akame got killed. Ooh, this is a real tearjerker. Like very emotional. So the genre is psychological and drama, with a lot of action. So Tatsumi is the main character. He is a your basic warrior. This is a whole fantasy thing, of course. Basic warrior. He has 2 friends. They set off in the capital to earn money for their poverty-stricken village. Along the way, they find a noblewoman, like a young noblewoman, that takes them into her carriage. But actually, wait, sorry. Before that point, Tatsumi gets separated from his friends. He can't find him. The noblewoman takes him into her carriage because she feels bad. So, as he's, in the mansion with her and whatnot, he's sleeping, he wakes up, like, he knows, like, something's wrong. I'm scared. So he goes out, sneaks around the castle, he goes to a building behind it, and he finds his friends strung up, tortured, and killed. So the nobleman is kidnapping people just to torture and kill them. But an assassin group called Night Raid attacks and saves him because they see something in him. It's like, all right, he has so much anger towards the noble people of this world. We can use that, and he can help fight them because they're so corrupt and evil.
Sounds like something I would watch, actually.
People die.
Yeah.
A lot of people die. People you really like and enjoy. I don't want to get too into it because I don't want that many spoilers.
Exactly. That's the thing with this is like it's so difficult to talk about animes that we love without spoiling it. It's so difficult
for each other and you watching.
Exactly. It's so difficult. All right.
So we have to keep beating around that bush without actually flattening the bush.
You gotta sneak your head in there with like, okay, this is what it's all about.
Sneak peek, but not enough to ruin it.
You can't just like go full fledged in there just quite yet.
Exactly.
All right. So, for this one, I was actually recommended this by Brody, because this is one of his absolute favorite animes, and I've seen
Brody is his friend.
Exactly, one of my other weeaboo friends that that's actually the one accompanying me to my trip to Japan this June, whatever you want to say. But it's entitled Maid in Abyss. One of his
I know nothing about this one, so this is all you right now.
Alright, so this is the only one, this is like my first one that I've actually had to like write notes on because Goblin Slayer didn't really have to write notes on it because everybody knows what Goblin Slayer is, and me and Braxton already know it, so we really didn't have to tell each other about it. Citrus, since it was the worst anime I've ever seen, I didn't really want to talk about it notes-wise, I just wanted to like spit out what was in my head.
Spit it out there, upset of how bad it is.
Exactly. So for Maid in Abyss, it was made by Kinema Citrus. Okay. Just saying the word
citrus,
Just saying the word citrus gives me PTSD of that anime. But
exactly.
Flashbacks. The story is that there's this abyss in this world, and it's kind of like Terraria or Minecraft.
Terraria is like a 2D Minecraft with a lot more things to it. For you OG gamers.
The deeper you go, the better the finds you would get.
So it's kind of like a dungeon almost.
It's kind of like a dungeon. It's multi-dimensional dungeon, as I'll call it. It says that the abyss is the last explored place of the world. So So it's like there's layers. There's like the first few layers, which I forgot what they're
kind of like levels of a dungeon almost. Because I'm guessing there's creatures in the abyss.
Yes.
Okay.
And then at the very bottom is the so-called abyss, because I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called the abyss, but the final layer is also called the abyss. I could be wrong, but the place is filled with amazing things, like things that would easily like make anybody rich. And it's surrounded by like this little crater. It's kind of like a volcano. Mm-hmm. It's like the shape of a volcano. It's like the hills.
And then the abyss.
It's like the abyss is down there.
Okay.
There's a city that lives right on the rim, so it's like going downhill. So it's the city. The city resembles basically what you would find in Brazil. It's like super crowded with houses and stuff like that.
Super crowded kind of poverty kind of thing.
Not really poverty.
No?
Just
very, very cramped.
Yes, and like dirty. And then there's like these things called cave raiders, which actually go down into the depths and find stuff, bring it back up, sell it, that sort of stuff. Not really sell it.
Make their money that way, kind of.
Yeah, technically. So the main girl is named Diko, who lives on the rim of the abyss and stuff like that. She wants to grow up and be like her mom, which was one of those cave raiders.
I see.
And the first episode, we're introduced to this robotic boy that she finds in one of her adventures, and it turns out that this boy doesn't know that he's necessarily a robot. He just knows that he has like a few super abilities, and ends up calling her Reg, because she doesn't like the robotic boy doesn't have like a name itself. So what ends up happening is they spend like the first like 2, 3, I think 4 episodes talking about the dangers of how far the abyss goes. The deeper you go, the like harder it is to breathe, the hotter it is, the more unsettling it is. Like many people who try to go down that deep, like severely unprepared, end up getting killed by the monsters or end up dying from like heat, food, that sort of stuff. So, but this girl doesn't care. Diko doesn't care. She ends up taking Reg with her, just those two. She has her friends like support her and stuff like that, but those two just end up going down into the abyss with like very little, like kind of like they prepare, but at the same time they don't prepare.
Like rushed?
It's kind of. And like I'm only on to like episode 7, unfortunately, so I can't really tell you what like happened. Like I can tell you what happens up to the point. Like they actually like go down there and there's just, I love the series, don't get me wrong, and it's just I need to be able to watch it more often because it's been like several weeks since I've seen the last episode. Mm-hmm. So I could be wrong on some of the stuff that I say, but pretty much what I could gather from watching like the first like half of the series was it's actually pretty amazing for it being technically a slice of life, but it's not that much like that big of a slice of life. Mm-hmm. It's real, like there's comedy in it as well. That's why comedy is a subgenre, because while there is a lot of adventure and fantasy and stuff like that, they sprinkle in like comedy every once in a while, just so.
That's how a lot of them are, adventure fantasy with a little bit of comedy.
Exactly.
Just to liven things up.
And I absolutely enjoyed watching Maid in Abyss, especially since Brody's one of like the biggest fans of Maid in Abyss. I thought I was going to go into it like expecting it to be like, probably the same as Hitoribocchi, like absolutely good anime and wholesome, but it's not as wholesome as I thought it would. But it's still a good anime to check out and watch. And I'll talk about Hitoribocchi on my next one. But for now, Braxton's got 2 more to talk about.
Yes, I do. So, we are on Blue Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everybody's probably at least heard of it.
I've heard of it, haven't seen it, sadly.
So, I have it set as an action-adventure fantasy and psychological. Because it kind of moves your heart around, Mm-hmm. You really feel the main character. And there's also comedy too. So, but it's not. I mean, I think comedy's more prominent, but the psychological is more important as a subgenre. All right. So the story revolves around Rin and his brother Yukio, his twin brother. They were raised by their father Shiro, who is an exorcist, who hunts like demons and spirits and whatnot to protect them from normal people.
Uh-huh.
So, witnessing his father dying to protect him, he finds out that their father is Satan, and they were adopted. So what he does is he takes the demon-slaying sword, oh god, QE. You're gonna have to say this.
All right, where's it at?
Sorry, it is right over there somewhere. Right there.
Kurikia.
That. I'm not too familiar on how to say that. Which restrains his demonic powers. From that moment on, Rin not only gains demonic features like fangs and a tail, but also the power to ignite blue flames that can destroy almost anything.
Huh.
So what happens is the organization that is full of exorcists and trains them takes him in, because even though he's a risk factor, he can benefit them greatly if they can control him. So it's kind of like its normal school setting, but they go out on missions and like hunt demons and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to go further into it. I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets real. You really feel the main character, and it gets pretty dark.
Pretty dark, yeah. All right, then you got another one to go.
Black Clover, which is like the medieval fantasy version of Blue Exorcist. That's why I put them together. Black Clover features Asta, the main character, a young orphan with his orphan with his best friend Yukio, who is also orphan at the same time. Mm-hmm. So, in this world, everybody is born with the ability to utilize mana to, like, create spells and other things like that, reinforce their body.
Yeah.
So, Asta, he's not able to use any mana, unlike everybody else. Mm-hmm. But he wants to become the Wizard King, so he trains every single day to push the limits of his physical body to the max, try and make up for that, and still has hope that one day he'll be able to use magic. Mm-hmm. Now, his best friend Yukio is the complete opposite. He's a prodigy. He's able to use magic almost instantly from birth, and is incredibly powerful with it. Who also both of them want to become the Wizard King, which is basically the more like protects the kingdom, protects the king, and protects the kingdom.
Yeah.
The king's technically above, but the Wizard King's way more powerful. So they create a friendly rivalry against each other about them both wanting to be the next Wizard King. Mm-hmm. Now they go to get their grimoires. Every magical knight, well, every person for the most part has a grimoire, which allows them to utilize spells, because without it, it's hard for them to do that. Mm-hmm. So Yukio gets the legendary 4-leaf clover that the first Wizard King had.
Ooh.
While Asta gets a old, dirty, worn-out book, but it's a 5-leaf clover. Nobody has seen that before, nobody knows what that means. So, with Asta's grimoire, he's able to take out different types of swords, usually big, heavy, great swords, that have anti-magic properties that can cut through magic. As well, he has some anti-magic spells. Basically, he's able to destroy and dispel any magic, and then he takes them down with his physical prowess. And then they each go to join the Magic Knights. Yukio, as the prodigy he is, he gets accepted by the most prestigious one, what was this called?
I have no idea.
Oh, I can't remember.
Because I haven't seen it either. So
the most prestigious knight faction, because there's different factions with their leaders. Well, Asta gets chosen by the Black Bulls, which is the lowest, the least popular, the ragtag team, the very rambunctious scoundrel type.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to wrap that up now.
Yeah. So, for people who are more like slice of life, kind of like what I am, they would find that usually like the fantasies and stuff like that, like the fantasy like action ones that we've been listing off of, like literally all the ones that we've talked about today, but literally the only exception of the animes that we've talked about that aren't like action fantasy.
Citrus.
Boy. Yeah, citrus. That's it. But we're going to change that up just a little bit. I'm going to have...
Because Taylor's more of a slice of life guy.
I am.
That's what he watches.
Yeah.
So, I'm more of a fantasy type guy.
Exactly.
Fantasy action.
I do watch fantasies, but however, I'm more of a slice of life guy myself. So the first one in the slice of life category to like watch is this anime, and pardon my Japanese because it's horrible, but I'm going to try and pronounce it as best as I can.
Better than mine.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's called the Hitoribocchi no Marumaru Seikatsu, which is, basically the shortened version is just called Hitoribocchi, which in Japanese roughly translates to all alone or something like that.
That's depressing.
It is. The story itself is pretty depressing. It's basically centered around this girl named Hitoribocchi, who suffers from severe social anxiety. Is entering middle school. Different middle school than her elementary friend, like her only elementary friend,
Gotcha.
Who's named Yanawada Kai.
The names are quite complicated.
It is. That's the hardest part about Japanese is naming saying the Japanese names. But her friend Kai Yanawari,
you can just abbreviate it.
I'll just call her Kai because in Japanese you always say
say your last name for the first.
Yeah. That left my mind for whatever reason when I wanted to say it. But she makes like this bet, like this thing, like childish bet, like if you don't make friends with every single one of your classmates, I will not talk to you again. Which is a little devilish.
Good God.
I know.
I have problems making it with one.
I know. This one, the Hitoribocchi is super like relatable. A relatable slice of life. Because we've all gone through that social anxiety going into like middle school or high school, especially.
I usually just walk up telling a wildly inappropriate joke. And it's like, hey, you like that joke? All right, I'm hanging out with you.
Exactly. She ends up making friends with this girl called Nako, who is mistaken as a delinquent, even though she's just a nice girl all in all. Best girl, by the way.
Best girl.
Another one called Honshu Aru, who is supposedly the perfect girl, but she's not really perfect at all. And then there's this other girl who comes from America called Soika. They call her Soika, who's basically infatuated with ninjas, basically. And she mistakes Bochi for a ninja and becomes her master, basically. It's very cringe. Like, if you're watching it coming
that part right there was cringy.
It is, but it's very wholesome. It's very like adorable watching Bochi go through these stages where she's trying to make friends with literally everybody in her class, and she's having a hard time because of course she has social anxiety. Let me pull this up.
I have a bit of that.
Yeah, everybody has a bit of that. Even I have a bit of that as well. Let me look up, because there's some interesting facts about this. The girl who plays Hitoribocchi, Morishidai Chisakai, I think that's how you pronounce it, that's her only role as a voice actress. Everybody who's ever played like anime, like actress roles, has played it like hundreds of others. But, you know, the voice actress for Hitoribocchi, who's like this super maid character, has only had one role, which is that character. So for her voice actress to be the main character in her first ever anime is kind of rare to find in that situation. And
wait, hey Taylor. If I remember correctly, the actor that played Kirito from SAO was the same that played Subaru from Re:Zero.
I think so.
I believe so.
So
that's a love-hate relationship with that guy.
The Quintessential Quintuplets, this was made by Sakuga Productions. I think I said that wrong as well. But the story is this high schooler named Futuro Usugi, who is very poor. But he's like one of the best students in the class. He's like top.
So he tries. Does he try very hard, or is it more of a natural talent?
It's a natural talent.
Oh, that's depressing.
But he ends up running into this girl named Itsuki Nakano, excuse me, and ends up like making her mad. And her sister in the first episode ends up calling him. It's like, hey, I know what we could do to get this debt of ours out of the way. And it's this very rich guy who's offering a tutoring session or whatever. Not tutoring session, just offering somebody to be their tutor for their daughter. Okay, or their daughters, as you'll find out here in a moment. They're all terrible at school. Like the daughters are all terrible.
That's harsh.
That's why they're all being.
They're all dumb.
That's all they're That's why they're all trying to get tutored and stuff like that. And
so they can become big brain.
Exactly. And Futuro accepts this offer, goes to the hotel or whatever that they're living in, and runs into Itsugi once more. And it's like, why are you here? It's like, oh, this is my apartment. Turns out, not only does Futuro have to tutor Itsuki, who he ran into and made her mad and stuff like that, he also has to tutor her 4 other sisters. They're all named Miku, Ichika, Nina, and Yotsuba. I can't make a 4 out of that. So.
No, you're just doing a finger gun.
But they are all terrible at school. They're basically flunkers, past flunkers. So Futaro has to tutor all 5 of these girls in one big group. Basic harem anime, am I right, guys? But the issue with that is all the girls are just big troublemakers. They try everything to not study.
Discipline them.
Yeah.
Link.
I mean, literally in the first episode, who was it? It was Nino that actually drugged Futaro to sleep, took him out of the house.
Woo!
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is
Bill Cosby in training.
basically, the whole thing you'll be introduced to this like immediately as you start the series, so it's not really much of a spoiler, but it technically is. But
as long as it's not too big.
Futaro is going to end up marrying one of those 5. We don't know who. Like, not even in the manga do we know who.
Just take the whole group.
Just take the whole group. It's all good.
It's like you're going apple picking. I'll just take a basket.
Exactly. But try to see if I can find Hanakame's album real quick, because I think she plays Ichika in
Surprised they're not all the same voice actor if they're quintuplets.
Well,
look about the same.
they're all like they all have different like styles and stuff like that. Miku's like the long.
They're a depressing emo one.
Yeah, technically yes. You're not wrong when you think of that. Like I'll show you. This is what. Let me see.
Is there a mysterious cool guy in the anime? Because there usually is.
That's Miku right there.
Show that to the camera.
I'll pop it up on the screen.
Sorry.
I pop it up on the screen.
All right.
Okay, there's Miku. Here is Itsugi, the one that he rated to first.
Oh.
The very cute one. Dakota's freaking texting me. Shut up, Dakota.
Dakota's such a reject.
Yeah. There's Nino.
Nino.
Everybody loves Nino if you read the manga, which I could see. And then there's Yotsuba.
They all have different colored hair. I've noticed.
They all do. That's
different shades
that's the
of
whole
red.
point. And then here's Ichika. Who's
Is that the guy? Wait a minute.
No.
Okay.
No, I'll show you the guy real quick. There's the guy right there.
Ah. Yeah. I was expecting more short, spiky hair, covers the eyes,
No.
never shows his eyes, kind of thing.
No. All right. And
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. So that's basically the entirety of That's basically the entire.
All right. I think we went on a little long with that one.
Yeah, but we got a couple more left over this episode.
Yes, we have 3 more, including this one right here. Sorry. Tokyo Ghoul. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of this.
Exactly.
The new season came out. I haven't watched it yet because I heard it's like strays very far off the course of the original because it's like Tokyo Ghoul. So I'm assuming it has way different plot. Tokyo Ghoul follows Ken Kaneki, a college student who barely survives a deadly encounter with his date, who reveals herself as a ghoul. He is taken to the hospital in critical condition. After recovering, Kaneki finds he is turned into a half ghoul because in the surgery they used part of his date's organs to replace his own.
Like, I've heard of this series, and I know the whole premise of it, I just haven't watched it, so...
Yes. So, ghouls have, like, superhuman abilities, but they have to eat human flesh to survive. So that's why it's a huge problem. Now, ghouls are, like, known to the public, but they're more kind of a myth, because the government tries to cover it up, but it tries to hunt them, obviously.
Yeah.
So, the whole premise of that is him coping with realizing he has to eat people to survive and trying to protect that from his friends, protect them from knowing, and protect them for people that want to attack Kaneki because he's a half ghoul. He's not really fit in both societies. And it's very emotional. Like, I cried at the end. It's... Whew. All right.
So you done with that one?
Yes, I am.
Right. So Braxton has one more after mine, and then I still have one more after mine that I just get done talking about.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah. So everybody knows about Koito Animation and how like spectacular their like animations are.
Amazing animations.
Like absolutely, Silent Voice is
Stunning
absolutely
animations.
One of the other ones, one of my favorite Koito Animation series that I've ever seen in my entire life. Everybody knows it if you've ever heard of Koito Animations, the Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maids.
So everybody has seen like the little dragon lolly, you know, with the
Kana.
like the
That's Kana.
Kana, the white hair, the horns,
Yes.
you know,
Yep.
pink sweatshirt.
Oh, I didn't
Everybody's seen that.
I didn't say it in Japanese.
So that's what it's from.
I'm sorry, I didn't say it in Japanese. Let me butcher it real quick. Kobayashi-san shi no Maid Dragon. I'm terrible.
Better than what I could say.
I mean, I kind of say it. I can kind of say it okay. It's just sometimes it gets mixed up with like how you say it. So I'm not terrible, but I'm not good either. So, I mean, for anybody who hasn't seen the Dragon Maids or the Dragon Maid series, basically what happens is it's this salary worker, just like your basic salary woman, we'll call, named Kobayashi.
Oh wait, if it's a woman, does that mean it's Yuri or no?
A
A little bit.
They hint it.
At it. All right.
There's hints of ecchi, but they don't actually do anything.
Okay.
No.
So not domestic girlfriend level.
We'll talk about that in the third episode.
Yes, we will.
Anyway, so
wait for that.
So what happens is Kobayashi opens a door one day to a freaking dragon outside her door.
Boom.
Just
there.
Full on dragon, like staring at her right in the eyes. It's like about ready to like kill her.
Give it a smooch.
More like give it a good old lunch from the dragon. Turns into this girl named Toru. Everybody knows that Toru is like that, the crazy dragon. She was in like this dragon world or whatever.
Is that the one with the like blonde and like green hair?
The blonde and the big freaking green tail in the back.
Thick.
I don't.
Not thick, but you know.
Like the. No.
No.
It's not. It's not that.
I'm not saying like Michelin Man level of thick.
I have to look.
I'm saying like, you know, hourglass figure.
I'm only looking at that tail. No.
Oh, the tail.
But,
obviously the most attractive part.
We're introduced to Kana later on. She ends up being like this. She goes to the elementary school near Kobayashi's house. They all have to go into an apartment and stuff like that. We just be like a bunch of different like dragons and stuff like that. There's a reason why it has an 8 as a score on the My Anime list, and it's 73rd popular because it's like really good. The animation's really good. Everything about it's really good. You can see the characters stuff down there. Who I'm talking about. It's just like.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking of. Let me scroll through the characters.
Yeah, you were thinking of that one.
The one starts with Q.
Oh god, I can't even say that. I don't know how you would pronounce this name anyway. I think it's like Quetzalcoatl. I don't know. Hold on. Let me like.
It's a long and complicated name.
Yeah, I can't even read katakana just quite yet, so I can't really be too sure. It's voiced by Minami Takashi.
6'9" Takashi.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So she, we're introduced to a bunch of like different dragons and stuff like that, and like it's like a slice of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably one of like the more wholesome slice of lives that involve like the fantasy. It's a mix. It's a mix between the real world and the fantasy world.
Okay.
It kind of like I can kind of want to call it a reverse fantasy.
Reverse fantasy.
Because it's fantasy world characters that come to the real world, more than likely. It's mostly
that's the complete opposite of most fantasies. So
it is.
Isekai, the genre, you know.
Yeah, isekai is when you go from
isekai. Sorry, I keep saying isekai.
I don't know if I want to call it a reverse fantasy or a reverse isekai because they transport worlds.
I think that'd be kind of a reverse isekai.
I was gonna say because it's not like they were transported forcefully. They just
just kind of come and go.
Yeah, they could go back if they wanted to. It's just they rather be in the real world and stuff like that. So. I don't know. I really recommend watching it as one of like the first things to watch from Koito Animations. If not, Silent Voice, of course. I'll talk about that in the third episode. But so Braxton has his last one for this episode.
All right, I feel like everybody's heard of this.
I think everybody has.
Everybody's heard of this. Death Note.
Yeah, Everybody's heard of this. Everybody, I don't know if anybody, like, not everybody has seen it, but everybody's at least heard the name.
Even if you don't know anime, you probably at least heard of Death Note. It's one of the most popular.
I think even people who don't watch anime know what Death Note is. It's that popular.
Whether or not they watch it, they definitely know what it is.
Yeah, it's not as popular as Full Metal Alchemist, if you see
but it's up the.
It is.
It's, if you ask me, it's on par with Full Metal Alchemist in like. It's how it's a classic, honestly. If you're gonna watch anime, you gotta watch that at some point. Have you watched it?
No.
I'm gonna have to make you. Hands down, one of my favorites.
Oh man.
Hands down, making you. All right, so Death Note. Here it is. The story follows Light Yagami. The main character's name is Light. I find that pretty cool. A teen genius who stumbles across a mysterious otherworldly book known as the Death Note, which belongs to the Shinigami, which is like a god of death, Ryuk. And it grants the user supernatural powers to control who is alive and who is not, basically. Whatever name you write down in the Death Note, they'll die within 24 hours. You can also write the cause of death next to it. If left blank, it's just a heart attack. So basically, what happens is he starts killing off all the bad people in the world. Justice is his initial goal. But you notice, as the character progresses, his mindset starts changing slowly. It starts to go from anybody that's bad to anybody that opposes him. Like, the mindset changes so much from the first episode to the last. So what happens is the police are trying to track him down because even though he's killing off bad guys, he's killing off the ones in prison and all that too. The ones that are already behind bars, all that. Anybody. So what happens is they send in an expert because they can't catch him because he's a genius. He's, outmaneuvering the police and all that. Bring an expert called L, which he's also kind of a teen genius. He's a bit of a freak, introvert.
Right.
So he's the main detective, the lead on the case. Basically, the whole show is about the rivalry between the two, and L always trying to catch him, but Light always trying to be one step ahead, while trying to kill L at the same time because he's opposing him. But they also kind of develop a friendship at the same time.
Oh.
I'm not going to go too into depth on how that happens or why, but you start to love both of the characters, and it's honestly incredibly hard to tell who you're rooting to win, honestly, because you just get in love with both of the characters.
See, the thing is with Death Note is I've never actually watched the anime, but I've known several pop culture references to it. There's Death
There's
Note
a Netflix adaptation which is god awful to watch. That, trust me.
So
I watched the original, and the Netflix one really pissed me off because it was just bad.
I know for a fact that I've seen a Death Note parody by Smosh back in their heydays. I don't know.
God.
I don't know if that came before the anime release or not. I have to look that video up.
Chicken and the egg kind of thing here.
Yeah, but I remember the whole premise of Death Note. I've heard of it. Everybody's heard of a Death Note, a notebook that you write down the name of a person, they die, or I think the literal opposite is
there's a bunch of folklore behind stuff like that.
Yeah, and
whether or not
the
it's
complete
specifically
opposite,
a book or
the complete opposite is you would get a book, write the name down of a person who's dead, they would come back.
Yes.
So I was going to put Kaguya-sama Love is War as my last one. However, I think to stick with the whole psychological drama, I think I'm going to I'm going to trade it. Actually, do a little trade.
We'll do Love is War next episode.
Not next episode because it's not an isekai.
Ah, true. But isekai episode is next. Yeah. We'll do that one the third episode.
Yeah. I was going to put it with the second most popular anime on my anime list, which is Steins Gate.
Steins Gate. Now, I believe I watched part of it, but I'm not too familiar with it. It's been a while.
Kind of difficult. For me, it was difficult to get into it at first. However...
That's what got me. It was hard to...
With White Fox, I was going to watch it anyway because...
White Fox, same people that made Goblin Slayer, right?
Yeah, let me actually clarify that. Yes.
Yes.
So
2 good ones.
Yes. This was released back in 2011, and I actually have the visual novel because of the fact that I enjoyed the series so much. The thing is, is with like between like normal anime, which is 1 season, 12 episodes long.
Yeah.
Steins Gate not only has 2 seasons and a movie, both of those seasons are 24 episodes long. Like the usual time length, which is like 26 days.
So it's like a double arc each season.
It's not
because an arc is usually 12 episodes. That's kind of how it works.
That is. Except this one, it kind of like since it's a visual novel, it kind of switches arcs, but it's not like very like.
Gotcha. So not a huge switch.
They kind of like stick in one like main story.
Yeah.
The main story it's this science detective group. Not really a detective group, just a science group, like just a parody. I can't remember what they're called, but it's ran by this guy named Hoin Kyuba, or Okabe Renato, as they like to call him. I'm just going to call him Okabe because everybody knows if you talk about Okabe, you're talking about Steins Gate. And he's joined by, at first, just 2 other sidekicks. Daru, who is this hacking nerd. Like one that
always got to get one of those. Always got to have the smart guy. Push up the glasses. Glasses glow.
Smash the keyboard. He's the one that
does the effect. Glasses glow.
Boom. And then then there's another one who's called Mayashi, who's my ringtone on my phone if I ever get a text message.
Ooh.
Who is Okabe's childhood friend. Just
love interest childhood friend, because that's usually how it works.
No, there's no no. It's just a childhood friend, mainly because she is a little retarded. So,
wow.
Sorry, had to be a little PC.
All right, have the smart one and the dumb one as the sidekicks.
Fun fact: when I went on my anime list, I made it an account because I'm that friggin' weeb, and I actually rated all the animes I've seen. Steins Gate's the only series that I put a 10 on, because I absolutely love this series. Because the first 12 episodes, this is kind of not really spoiling, it's just...
As long as it's not big spoilers, right. Anything that reveals
when you watch the first 12 episodes, it's kind of like, it's slow, you're trying to it's building up.
Gotcha, so it's like rising action
You don't know it's building up. You literally don't know it's building up.
Okay, so there's hints that it's building up, but
yes, exactly.
You don't kind of realize it at first. It just kind of hits you, I'm guessing?
Yes, what ends up happening is they wanted to build a machine.
Spoiler alert, right?
Kind of, yeah.
Alright, spoiler alert.
Yeah. I'll just flash a potential spoiler alert in case if you're actually interested in watching this, but...
Then put a timestamp once we're done with it.
Yeah, hopefully, if I remember exactly what the timestamp is. So, what ends up happening is they wanted to make a time machine somewhat. They wanted to be the first group to ever make a time machine. What ends up happening is they go to a little convention, a science convention. Well, Okabe does, and Mayashi go to a little convention. And while the convention is going on, a mysterious thing smashes into the building, at the roof of the building, causing a huge commotion, which turns out to be a time machine from the future, but you won't know that until later on in the series.
Gotcha. So I'm guessing it's kind of like a time loop per se.
Yes, exactly. Let me go on.
They go through, build it, come back, smash it, which sets that off. And
yes, the more Okabe investigates the whole situation, he ends up opening a door and sees a dead girl, just dead, stabbed to death, right in the room. Blood, blood is flowing everywhere. Has a PDS, not a PDS. He just has a freaking mental breakdown because he sees a freaking dead girl. Yeah. Closes the door, runs out, ends up grabbing the phone, ends up texting Daru that somebody was stabbed. As soon as he clicks send, something weird happens. Everything is just gone crazy. Everything's time travel. Everything's white, everything's gone, see a bunch of numbers flying around.
Gotcha.
Next thing you know, boom, he's back on the ground, and Mayashi comes up, he's like, what's going on? It's I don't know what's going on. He looks up at the building, the time machine's gone. The destruction, gone. It's what about the conference? It's it was canceled. It's no it wasn't, we were literally there. Turns out what happened was Daru made a microwave machine. The phone microwave, that's literally what's called, a phone microwave, that whenever it's hooked up with the phone attached to it or if it's ever with anything inside of it, while it's running, if somebody sends a text to a specific phone that's plugged in a specific time period, they travel back about 48 hours. So what ends up happening is Okabe accidentally goes back in time. But he doesn't realize he went back in time because he doesn't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. But there's this thing where when you time travel, the only person that's ever had memories of what happened in the time travel is Okabe. So while everything is going on, like in the series, all this crazy stuff is happening. He's the only one that remembers it all. Everything. Every single death, every single footstep he's taken, he's remembering it all. And every time, no matter what he does, it always ends up in the same, like, end point. It's kind of like there's...
So, like, Groundhog Day kind of keeps repeating?
Yes. Like, what happens is... Which will
transition us into ReZero next episode.
Yes. What happens is they talk about this little thing where it's like a bunch of timelines and stuff like that. Millions of particles of timelines. Every person that dies in one timeline, no matter how
lives
far...
in another timeline.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, when one end of the, like, let's say this is some person's life, hits this point, which is the death part, they can't, there's no way they can go through that at all. No matter what happens, there will always be a death at that specific time. And this is a bigger spoiler, I guess.
Spoiler alert, big spoiler alert,
spoiler
flashing lights.
What happens is Okabe and Mayashi are, like, Okabe's trying to save Mayashi. For several episodes. Because Mayashi ends up getting killed several times. What happens is, at first, it was a gunshot. Okay? Second time, he's like, okay, get her away from the house where she's shot at, and then we'll see what goes from there. They go to a train station to try and run away. Some kid pushes her right into the train tracks, train.
You can hold on to her, it's like, push the kid first.
Pretty much, just runs her right over.
Ugh.
And then they tried, I can't remember if there was like another one or two, but it's just sad. It's sad. It's
like the hopeless struggle.
It is. It's literally a hopeless struggle of trying to save someone, but you can't. And the whole, and I really don't want to spoil the ending, but it's like.
Don't spoil the ending.
I won't.
If you think you're gonna, just cut yourself off.
Exactly. Okabe wants to have everybody that he's met alive.
As most people would.
Exactly. Except the issue is with the timelines.
Somebody has to die.
Somebody has to die. There's one timeline where all of them survive, but it's like a 0.0001% chance of.
So he keeps trying. And trying.
And the whole series is just a flippin' roller coaster, like literally a roller coaster of emotions. You're like, and especially, okay, first 12 episodes, it's slow. It's like this part of the roller coaster where it's like this, and you're just like riding it. It's just like a nice, slow, uphill like climb. It's like, you know the story, you know the characters, you know what's happening. Now that you've known everything, you get to episode 12, end of episode 12 and onwards. It's just a freaking roller coaster. You're going in every direction endlessly possible in this of motions. It's like, oh my God, what is happening? I don't know how to feel about this. And to say that I wasn't crying is a lie, because at the end, not more or less like sadness, is just shock. I was just like, what is happening? And the fact that there's 24 episodes in the first season, and then 24 episodes of the other season.
So 48. That's a lot of episodes.
It is.
And it's good the whole time?
It is. Like, okay, there's one called Steins Gate, one called Steins Gate Zero. Zero, which is the shirt I'm wearing, is the second season. There's, for like the 23rd episode, they have like two versions of it. One of them, it leads to the end of season. It's like this. 23rd episode A or whatever leads to the end of Steins Gate. While 23B is a different ending.
Different timeline that leads to the second season.
It's kind of like in a visual novel where if you pick one option, this happens. If you pick the other option, this happens.
Choose your own adventure.
Exactly.
Kind of
That's what Steins Gate Zero is. And the end of Steins Gate Zero, it's kind of like this. The end of, like the episode that brings you into Steins Gate.
We can put some visuals up to help.
The episode that brings you to the end of Steins Gate, 23A or 23B, that leads you into Steins Gate Zero, also leads into the end of Steins Gate. So you have to go from Steins Gate 23B, up to Steins Gate, like the end of Steins Gate, and then the last episode of Steins Gate. You can watch A as well. But after you watch A, you have to watch B, and then you got to go through Steins Gate. It's a little complicated, but when you figure it out, all the process, my God, is it one of the best series to watch? And that's why it's number 2 most popular on my anime list.
All right, I think that'll wrap it up. Thank you for joining us.
Man.
Next episode, we're going to start it up with the Isekai.
Exactly.
And we'll start off with ReZero because it somewhat ties in to Steins Gate.
Exactly. I kind of wanted to do ReZero after like Isekai Quartet, but we could talk about Isekai Quartet after we get done with.
We should start with ReZero though, because it fits into Steins Gate with its whole timeline.
Exactly.
And going back.
Exactly. Just
tell you about that.
Absolutely incredible. All right, so thank you all so much for watching the Otaku podcast. We'll see you next time on the Otaku podcast. Good night.
Bye.